What's good people? Welcome back to Whole Views. Thank you for clicking that thumbnail. My name is Corey, and today we're going to be doing a rundown of my favorite M. Night movies. Now, before going to see Knock at the Cabin, I knew that I was a fan of most of M. Night's work, and after compiling this list, I come away knowing in my heart that he is actually one of my favorite producers because most of his films that he's done, I found in a favorable light. I want to say he only has about 4 that really missed me all the way, but I'm always willing to give him a chance. So let's go ahead and get into this list. This is not a list of his best movies. This is a list of my favorites from him in order of, from favorite to least favorite. So number 1 would have to be Split. I think Split was a marvelous film. M. Night directed the hell out of James McAvoy. The performance that James McAvoy turned in was so good. I know some people towards the end kind of felt like when the Beast was a real thing and he was crawling on the walls, it kind of took him out of the film. But for me, I had no idea where M. Night was going with it, and I was fine with things going that way. And when they actually connected it to Unbreakable, it just elevated the movie that much more, in my opinion. So yes, Split is my absolute favorite movie that he's produced. I wouldn't say that it is the unequivocal best, but it's my favorite, and I do feel like it's up there with his best work. Next up on my favorites list from M. Night would have to be Unbreakable, because Split and Unbreakable go hand in hand. Unbreakable to me is one that stands the test of time. I know a lot of movies that get released and you try to revisit them 10, 15, 20 years later and they don't hold up. Unbreakable holds up. It's still very good. Bruce Willis is great. You see that connection between Bruce Willis and M. Night showing up really for like maybe, I think the second time. I don't remember the years of release, but I do feel like every time that they're together on screen, you get good work. And Unbreakable is very, very good. I love Samuel L. Jackson, and the reveal at the end, riveting stuff. Number 3 on my favorites list would have to be The Sixth Sense. Sixth Sense is classic. It's a classic film. It's probably his best work. Is the one that put M. Night on the map. He became known for these twist endings. And honestly, if you watch it still today, it's one of the ones I feel like still holds up. You can watch it and it still brings you back to that moment where Bruce Willis's character realizes he's been dead for the entirety of the film that we've been watching. It was very, very good. And again, I really enjoyed their chemistry as an actor and director, pairing. Number 4 on my favorites list for M. Night would be Signs. Signs was very good. I feel like it's one that doesn't stand the test of time, though. The CG on that movie just didn't age well. I think that the muted performances from some of the people, I know they were directed to be the way that they were. Like, it was a very awkward feeling movie. And it was such a big part of pop culture that most people have some point of reference. And then when you see the actual thing gets played out, I don't feel like it plays out as well anymore if you revisit Signs. But Signs was very, very good at the time. And again, it has its own little place in history carved out where everybody was talking about it and it was being parodied in the Scary Movie movies. So yeah, Signs was very, very good. I don't think it should be as high as The Sixth Sense, but it is very close to approaching that classic status. Number 5 on the list would be Knock at the Cabin. Knock at the Cabin is M. Night's most recent release. I loved Dave Bautista. I love the rest of the cast. I like the premise so much, somebody having to sacrifice themselves for their family. I like the positions that the family gets put in, and I like the way that things play out. Number 6 on the list for me would be Old. I thought that Old was very, very good. I know that everybody was not high on it. It is not everyone's favorite, but I thought it was good. It was in my top movies of the year list for that year. It wasn't a traditional twist like we normally get from M. Night. This one was a little bit different because we get the whole idea of everything laid out right in the beginning. You do get a little bit of a reveal as to why things are happening, how they're happening, and who's observing them the entire time things are happening. So I was satisfied with the movie. I like the way that things played out. I like the performances, and I like the love story that they had embedded there, like a family that was ready to be broken apart, a husband and wife that were ready to divorce, and then over the time passing, they are aging, and the problems just become less and less important, and showing each other love and the time that you have is paramount in the situation that you're in. So I enjoyed seeing that little story play out, and I really liked Old. I really did like Old. 7, a little bit further down because I have some complaints about it, that would be Glass. Glass, I enjoyed the entire time until you get to like the last 5 to 10 minutes, and I just didn't like the way the movie ended. It was very, very personal to me. I don't feel like anything was done bad. I just feel as though the way the story played out in the end, killing off Bruce Willis's character, having a cadre of people who know about superpowered individuals and actively work to keep it quiet. Like none of that stuff was favorable to me. I didn't enjoy any of it, and I feel like that last 10, 15 minutes of the film just degraded everything that had been built up over the course of the last two films. And when you look at it, that's like 20 years worth of goodwill just being flushed. So I'm not as high on Glass. I'm actually quite lower on Glass, but I still feel positively about it. I don't feel like it's a bad movie. It's just personally, I feel like it could have been better if you had made some different decisions. Number 8 for me would be Lady in the Water. Now, I know a lot of people like really trashed Lady in the Water, but I enjoyed that thing. I thought it was so weird and so unique. I liked Paul Giamatti's performance. I enjoyed Bryce Dallas Howard. I liked all the host of characters that we got to meet in that apartment complex. The one image that stands out in my mind from that movie is the guy who had the one big buff arm and then like the one regular person arm, and he plays such an important role at the end in this fight with these mythical creatures that have been existing in the shadows this entire time, and we thought it was a bedtime story, and that was weird, man. That was a very weird one from M. Night, but I did enjoy it, and I do have fond memories of watching that thing back in the Blockbuster days when I was working over there. So yeah. I'm high on Lady in the Water. I enjoyed it. I know it was weird. I know most people didn't like it, but I did. I did. I had a good time. 9, 10, 11, 12. These 4 movies are movies that I did not like from M. Night, regardless of how other people like them. I've experienced them for myself, and I'm ranking them again on that list. Number 9 for me would be The Village. Some people enjoyed The Village and thought it was really, really good. You know, I had some conversation with some folks about this list as I was making it, but myself, I didn't have a good time with it. I felt like it was too nonsensical that a blind girl would do all that she did in the film, as well as the fact that we are seeing this monster creeping through the shadows the entire time the movie is taking place. And then when you get to the very end, you learn that it's just a costume. And you also learn that it's not really old English time. We've been deceived the entire time watching it. This is people who chose to live in this little secluded region and be cut off from society where no airplanes fly over. I'm like, are you serious? I didn't like that. I felt like I was lied to. I felt like I was sold a bill of goods, and it turned out that, no, this is not at all what you paid to see. I thought it was nonsensical. I didn't like The Village. So it's on the list, but it's at the very bottom amongst the other things that I didn't like from M. Night. Number 10 for me would have to be After Earth. After Earth starred Will Smith, and I felt like if you're going to make a movie starring Will Smith, you need to use Will Smith to the fullest of his capabilities. And he was muted. He was only on screen for like 30 minutes. All the charisma and the charm that you normally get from Will Smith was drained, and it was gone. And he played this muted character. Now, I know that stuff is essential for the story that you're trying to tell, fighting these monsters that can like smell your fear or something like that. But there was too much taking a knee. There was too much Jaden Smith, and there was too little emotion and charisma from actors that can normally bring so much more emotion and charisma. I didn't care for that one. I felt like it was a big mess of a movie. I didn't like my main character, and I didn't like my supporting characters. Just wasn't a good experience. Number 11 for me would be The Happening. And the reason why I feel like The Happening is so stupid is that the marketing is what got me. The fact that people were killing themselves and no one knew why. And people were running, but they didn't show in the marketing, what are they running from? And then you watch the movie and you realize that they're running from plants or running from pheromones that the plants are emitting that are in the air. Like, bro, we are all breathing the same air. Whether the wind blows or not, when the plants let the pheromones out, they're gonna get you. Like, the last 15 minutes of this movie, the main characters were running through a field, breathing heavily and panting, worried about if they got away or not. And the movie just cuts to black. The stupidest ending. You know, people were watching that and were expecting some type of twist and things would make sense, but it never happened. It never came. I was left feeling like, what the hell did I just watch? That's how I felt when the lights came up and that movie ended. I was like, what just happened for the last 2 hours? I know it's called The Happening, but tell me what is happening. This is horrible. And number 12, the unequivocal worst movie that M. Night has ever attached his name to. And I thought he was just a producer on this for the longest, but it turns out he actually wrote and directed it too, and that is The Last Airbender. Oh my goodness, that was bad. And not because he did such horrible stuff. The problem is that I believe he tried to put too much into one movie. The Last Airbender, as it played on TV, was such a long, drawn out series that had so much rich history, and you tried to cover and do way too much with one film. You give an origin here and you set things up, but you don't try to tell all the story in 1 2 hour film. It just didn't translate very well at all. Nothing about the movie was memorable. The most memorable thing that I can recall from watching this in the theater, I just remember that the main characters, some of the characters were like their race, like these are the white folks. What's going on? This is not the way these characters looked, and are not the way these characters kind of acted in the show. And that's an element you don't want to get wrong when adapting a property that people love. And that's something I feel like he really dropped the ball on that one. That's all my thoughts on old M. Night. I've watched 12 of, I believe it to be 15 films. The only one that I haven't seen is The Visit, and I will get to that at some point. I'll watch it and I might just do a short review on it. And I do feel like the man is one of my favorite directors. When I go down that list, I have to get to number 8 before I'm really, really unsatisfied with one of the movies that he's done. Glass notwithstanding, I enjoyed pretty much everything in that list from 1 to 8. But when you get to 9, it's like, okay, I didn't like this one. And then it gets worse and worse as you progress past 9. So those are my thoughts on M. Night. Again, one of my favorite guys. Let me know, how would you order this list? And let me know in the comments section. Or do you even think M. Night is worth that much praise? Because I know some people are not high on him, but I am very high on him. Let me know. Enjoy yourself, guard your heart, and go watch something good.